Finished up at the Unpacked event announcing the new Note 10. But for the first time since 2014, when Samsung announced this little beauty, the Note Edge alongside the Note 4, they've announced more than one device. Who would have thought that it would have led the way for most flagship phones these days of its curved display? Samsung today announced 3 models for the Note. I'll be getting my hands on one of them at some point, so subscribe to the video to watch more videos about it in the future, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it and want to see more. Honestly, it got a little bit confusing with the 3 different models, so let's lay it bare and clear things up. Here we go. Historically, the Note line flagship has always been the be-all and end-all of phones, especially in Samsung's eyes. This is the phone for the power user, for the productive, for the creative, for the person who wants to do it all. It was the first phone to have the moniker phablet. It was basically just invented for the Note line of phones. As phones are getting smaller, the Note came out with what then was a huge display, but now it probably isn't. It's probably just a standard display size. But this year's Note probably sees a lot of people as a step down, even from the 12-month-old Note 9 device, especially from the S10 Plus and the S10 Plus 5G. The base level Note this year does away with a lot of things like the time of flight sensor. It has the single camera on the front and 3 cameras on the back. It does only have a full HD display, which is unusual considering most Samsung phones these days, going back for the last couple of years, have got a quad HD display. There's no expandable storage. There's no headphone jack. It's a 6.3-inch display with a 3,400 mAh battery, which is fairly small in today's standards, and 8 GB of RAM, which again, you can get a much cheaper phone with much higher RAM. There is only one storage capacity, which is 256 GB, which would be plenty for most people. But again, the Note lineup has always been the power user, the most productive people out there. Last year, for example, there was a 512 GB model with expandable storage, so you could go up to a terabyte. Who needs a terabyte in the pocket? I have no idea, but the option was there. On this year's Note, that option isn't there. That's not to say there's no market for this phone. Given the smaller price tag, it makes sense that this phone exists, and it exists with a purpose. Now, a lot of people like the S Pen, would use the S Pen, but aren't pro users. They're not like power users, as it were. Emma, for example, uses her S Pen more than anybody I've ever seen use it. She uses it even for tasks where I'm thinking just use your finger. She uses it when she's playing games like Candy Crush-esque game, Home Improvements or something, some other, I don't know, where you just swipe things, line them up and bing, they're gone. That type of game, which you probably wouldn't need an S Pen for. She likes to use it. Cropping photos, she sketches and makes handmade notes and all kinds with the S Pen. Does she need 12 GB of RAM? No. Does she want a massive 6.8-inch display? No. Does she need half a terabyte of storage? No. Does she want to pay £100 a month for a phone? No. Emma's always had a budget phone before the Note. The only reason she went to the Note is because I had one and she tried it, done a couple of sketches, coloured in a couple of things on Pen Up, and she really enjoyed it. She upgraded to the Note 9, 128 gig model, which is the entry model, and yeah, she likes it. But if she could have got the same thing for cheaper, would she have done? Yes. Cue the Note 10. But given all the things that it emits and how it locks you down on storage and RAM and a lesser display, a poorer display by today's standards, I'd say. In my eyes, this should be the Note E, not the Note. This should be what the S10e is in the Note lineup. Simple as. This is in my eyes, in my opinion, this is a budget Note. Do you agree? Is this a budget version of the Note? Did they mess up the naming scheme? Should this be a Note E to let people know that this isn't the high-end spec? This isn't a power user phone, but it does have some power user features. Should they have called it the Note E? Let me know in the comments below. So on to the Note 10 Plus then. This, in my eyes, should be the Note. This should be the flagship Note. This should be what people know they're buying into, because this is the phone that has everything but the kitchen sink and the headphone jack. It does give you expandable storage. You get up to 12 GB of RAM. You can go up to half a terabyte. It's a 6.8-inch Quad HD display. It has a time of flight sensor on the back, which the Note 10 doesn't. So to me, this is the Note 10, period. There's nothing needed. We don't need a Plus or a Pro or anything like that. This should just be what the Note 10 is. This should be the standard Note 10 2019. Done. People know the Note series as being a high-end phone. The Plus doesn't mean anything. This should be the pinnacle of what you get with your phone. It should be the Note 10. It should have a headphone jack. But hey, Samsung did hold on to the final fight. They were like one of the last phones to get rid of the headphone jack, so respect for that. It's sad to see it gone. But that said, most people use Bluetooth anyway, so it's gone. Let's get over it. Let's move on. Which finally brings me on to the Note 10 Plus 5G. See, the name just doesn't sound right. It's like the Note 10 Plus 5G, but there's the Note 10 Plus. Plus what? What are we getting? What's extra? I don't know. Anyway, the Note 10 Plus 5G should not exist. It should just be 5G as standard on the Note. Like I said before, this is the power user's phone. This is the phone that has it all. So why hasn't it got 5G as standard? I understand when the S10 Plus 5G came out, it was a separate phone. It came out later. It had an extra camera lens on the back. It had an extra couple of inches on the screen. The battery was bigger. It had more RAM. It was a Plus 5G phone. That was the first phone to lead the way for Samsung with 5G. That was the one that's going to show everyone, this is what 5G can do. This is what you need the extra for. This is why you're paying extra. But there's nothing extra on the Note 10 Plus 5G. Not a single thing. It's just the Note 10 Plus with 5G. The only thing you'll get extra is the 5G. If they stuck an extra camera lens on there, if they give it a headphone jack, if they give it a bigger battery, if it has a bigger screen, if they give it something extra, fair enough, but they haven't. All they give extra is the 5G chip. And to me, in my eyes, not good enough, Samsung. I like Samsung. I like what they do. Don't get me wrong. I am excited to get the phone. That is probably the phone I will get. But that should just be the Note. The Note 10 Plus 5G should be the Note 10. The Note 10 should be the Note 10e. Just keep it simple. You only needed the two handsets. One is the flagship and one is the budget version. Thank you for watching, listening to me rant. Hopefully that explains a little bit more on my thoughts on the Note and what was announced, and makes it a little bit clearer on what the phone is and what you get with each one. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more videos in the future. Peace.